There's a small ember of creativity inside all of us, and when kindled, we embark on the creative journey. To me, there's no greater feeling to be fully immersed in this process. We have highs, lows, we make mistakes, but we learn. This is why we admire master craftsmen. When we see a beautifully carved mantle, we know the time it took to get there, and it's inspiring. Now, I'm by no means a master craftsman, but my love for the creative process has taught me some lessons over the years, especially when it comes to designing my dream game. Allow me to share. If you're new here, my name is Julian, and on this channel I document my journey in creating the ultimate strategy board game, Pincer, A Gentleman's War. In this game, you'll expand your empire by building colonies, managing resources, and most importantly, facing your opponents on the battlefield. Check out my website, playtests.com, and learn how you can become a playtester today. Now, I've never published a board game, so take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, but I've been working on my dream game for a few years now, at first as a fun passion project, but now I'm seriously pursuing my goal of publishing it one day. That being said though, I think I do have some valuable insight from my experience so far, especially as I've taken a rather unconventional approach to design. I've learned some lessons the hard way, but also stumbled upon perhaps some more fresh way of doing things, and it's been out of a pure love for my vision and wanting to see it become a reality. This isn't meant to complain or scare any aspiring designers away, but I have to say, creating a fun and engaging game is more difficult than I thought going into this. I know this was arrogant of me, but think about it. At the end of the day, board games are entertainment, just like movies and music are. Think about how many movies flop each year and how many artists will never write that breakout song. Well, board games are no different. Lots of games are released each year, and how many people actually latch on to them? It's difficult to create a game that will stand the test of time. This is also encouraging though, because this brings an opportunity. Since our media is so oversaturated with cheap content being released each day, this gives designers the opportunity to stand out and really crafting genuine art and novel game mechanics from a place of sincerity, and I think people will always be drawn to that. Now, despite what I've been told through conventional wisdom, I think visuals are important in prototyping. I hear quite often on my channel that I shouldn't design the artwork before the prototyping is complete, but in my personal experience, I would humbly disagree. I do acknowledge that I'm taking a different approach to game design, and this is more of a passion project I'm creating and documenting than me being a full-time game designer who needs to create multiple games a year for income. But the reason I've placed so much value on visuals from the beginning is because I want people to be interested in my game, and I want people to want to playtest it. It can be difficult to get people interested in any new board game that's unfamiliar, let alone one in the prototyping stage where you're using old coins, mix-match tokens, or random trinkets for the pieces. I'm not saying every spark of inspiration for a game you need to make professional art for. I've used a decent amount of card stock with handwritten rules as a starting place. However, once your idea is sort of taking form, I think it's exciting to watch it come to life with more appealing visuals, and others will be drawn to it. Along these same lines, that's part of the reason I started this YouTube channel. I had been working on my game for several years and obviously loved the idea of publishing it one day, but I realized something. I'm going to put all this work into finishing my game, and no one is going to know or even care about it when it's finished. I think people have enjoyed coming along this journey with me and seeing how the game has evolved. Personally, I think the artwork is a large part of that. People see it and think, wow, that's really neat, I want to learn more. This seems like it could be a great way for new game designers to get their foot in the door. So if that's you and you think you have a great game idea, try putting yourself out there a bit, share your creative process, and find like-minded people that are interested in your game. The visuals are also what first drew me into Brilliant, today's sponsor. Their engaging graphics make each lesson a fun and immersive learning experience. I've personally found immense value in their logic and deduction course, which has helped me keep my mind sharp while developing my game. But Brilliant offers so much more. It's the perfect tool for daily cognitive growth and exploration. Sharpen your mind today with a free 30-day trial, and if you love it as much as I do, you'll get 20% off for life when you use the link brilliant.org/Julian Burke. Link in the description. Once again, brilliant.org/Julian Burke. This is an unfortunate reality that I hate talking about, but it's a large part of game design and needs to be taken into consideration. If you have an artistic bent like I do, you may not be as, shall we say, business savvy as you might benefit from. You have a vision, a great idea, but take little consideration into the financial aspect of things. When I first started this project a few years ago, my vision was to have a fully 3D printed board where the mountains would extrude from the tiles, the pieces would be really realistic looking, everything would be as nice as possible. Now, if I were creating this game for myself and a few friends to play, I could probably get away with really elaborate pieces. However, when I started to consider that other people might like to play my game one day and thought perhaps I could publish it, I started thinking of things like cost. Are 3D mountain tiles really cool? Yes. Are they necessary for the gameplay though? No. And in fact, they could actually be a barrier to entry for a lot of players. If the base game costs 40% more because you really want custom stylized pieces that aren't necessary to the actual game, you may alienate a lot of potential players because they just don't want to spend the money on all the artistic fluff, but would give a more affordable option a shot. Along these lines though, I think it's important to prioritize your wish list. For my game, it's the mini 3D printed pieces. I just think they're so cool and really make the game so much more immersive. This is one area I refuse to back down on, no matter the cost. That being said though, it is important for me to make sure I'm not overprinting pieces for each game copy. When I first started looking into quotes, I was calculating the cost for far too many pieces in each game. For example, I don't really need 10 ports for each player in a game because realistically, they'll probably only ever use 3 to 5 per game. This all comes back to playtesting, which without I would really not know how many pieces are actually necessary. This is also something that should be in the back of your mind while developing. Basically, think of ways you can consolidate pieces and make sure you're squeezing every bit of efficiency out of your game. This is one of the reasons I decided not to place my maneuver cards into a separate deck. I mean, that's twice the amount of cards I would need for each game, increasing the cost. I think financial restraints can actually force you to be more creative with the resources at your disposal. And one day I would love to have a really nice special edition of my game with metal pieces and perhaps a wooden board, but right now I think it's important to make sure it's as accessible to as many people as possible. I have to admit it was somewhat nerve-wracking when I first started uploading my design journey to YouTube. There's the obvious reason for how people will perceive it. Whenever you show the world something you've spent time creating, it's intimidating. But besides this point, I was also nervous of having my idea stolen. I know that probably sounds absurd, like I found some groundbreaking discovery or something. I haven't, but it's easy to get hung up on this. You have what you think is a great idea, and you sort of close yourself off in an attempt to guard it. What I found though is that the rewards far outweigh the risks. Number one, it may not be a good idea. I've had plenty of bad ideas and thankfully people have told me so, but number two, if it is a good idea, it will help sharpen your vision and make it even better. The community we have here, the conversations that come from this, not only make it all worth it, but also act as extra support and have actually helped me reach my goals more efficiently. So Alan Watts, who I must say I don't fully endorse, but I do love his take on work and play. He said, "This is the real secret to life, to be completely engaged with what you are doing in the here and now, and instead of calling it work, realize it's play." When you've been working on a project for so long, it can be easy to forget why you started it all and lose touch of that original spark of inspiration. Now this is more related to my YouTube channel than my board game, but I think it can apply. I was getting a little burnt out on editing videos a few weeks ago. However, I decided I would try my best to immerse myself in the creative process. So I made a cup of coffee, put some music on, and ended up creating a stop motion sequence to accompany my video from a few weeks ago. And I had a great time doing it. I used to love making stop motion films with Legos growing up, and I really felt like a kid again. Instead of mailing it in and thinking of it as work, I shifted my thinking to realize it's all play, and it led to a fresh experience with my YouTube channel. The same thing applies to game design. The whole point is to have fun, and if your playtesting is robotic and stale, remember, you're supposed to be creating an exciting experience for players that they'll remember and enjoy with their friends and family for years to come. I hope you found value through my experience so far. If you have any lessons learned from your own creative journey, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. As for a channel update, you've probably noticed I've been posting a little less than usual, and I'll go through times where I post more or not as much. I'll probably post around 2 videos a month for the time being on Thursdays, just so you know though. I would love to do more live videos and playtesting coming up, but that'll probably be after the new year. Thank you all so much for the support and keeping the board game spirit alive in this digital age. I wish all of you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Until next time, farewell.